Today, we reflect on the founding of America, and it challenges our traditional understanding of slavery and the birth of a nation. In 1766, Parliament passed the American Colonies Act, also known as the Declaratory Act of 1766. This act was not simply a declaration of authority, but a powerful assertion of parliamentary sovereignty, a proclamation that Britain held supreme legislative authority over the American colonies in all cases whatsoever. This act of Parliament nullified colonial American laws that denied or questioned British rule and the English Bill of Rights of 1689. This included the abolition of hereditary slave codes enacted by colonial assemblies. The Declaratory Act dealt a decisive blow to colonial America's slave codes and Negro laws, and this put the final legislative nail in the coffin of colonial American slavery. Parliament's abolition of colonial laws was a powerful factor in galvanizing the 13 colonies and a strong catalyst for unity and resistance. Yet, for America's founding fathers, many of whom were slaveholders, the basis for rebelling against British governance was complicated. Their slave-based economy and way of life were threatened by Britain's reaffirmation of rights and powers authorized under each colonial charter. Knowing this, the founders framed their call for independence in the language of natural rights, freedom, and the idea that governments derive their power from the consent of the governed. These ideals were powerful, inspiring slogans that spoke of equality, justice, and a government of laws, not of men. But they also created a painful paradox. How could a nation founded on these principles justify the continued enslavement of black colonials? This tension grew even more intense after the 1772 Somerset decision, a ruling by England's Court of the King's Bench that declared slavery was not allowed and approved by the law of the kingdom, and that slavery required explicit authorization, a positive law that only Parliament could enact, and had not. This landmark case confirmed that colonial America's slave codes were void, exposing the legal fiction behind colonial America's slaveholding practices. Then, before the Declaration of Independence, on November 7, 1775, Virginia's colonial governor, Lord Dunmore, issued a bold proclamation. Declaring the founders as traitors, he offered freedom to all indented servants, Negroes or others, free that are able and willing to bear arms for the British. This proclamation was revolutionary in its own right, signaling that Britain's opposition to the rebellion extended to undermining the very foundation of the colonial slave-based economy. Enslaved black colonials across the 13 colonies seized this opportunity, joining the British military and fighting for freedom denied to them by the founders who proclaimed liberty. What does this history tell us? It shows that America's founding ideals, freedom, equality, and justice, were compromised from the outset. The founding fathers, who spoke of natural rights and consent of the governed, also had the intent to preserve a slave system that had been invalidated by English law. Britain's insistence on the rule of law and its implicit promise of freedom for those who would join them forced the founding fathers to confront a dilemma: to stand by their principles or preserve their economic interests. As we remember this complex legacy, we may honor the courage of those who sought liberty on all sides and recognize the contradictions that still echo in our national story. Let their resilience inspire us and commit to building a nation where the ideals of liberty, equality, and justice are no longer compromised, but are fully realized. Please share and visit our website at Wells Center on American Exceptionalism and look for future videos.